Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Swerve with me. I'm Miranda Innes, and as always, it's a pleasure to have you join us tonight. As you begin to come into the live stream, please remember to like it and share it. Share it in your live stream, share it on your timeline, start a watch party because tonight we are going to have yet another adult conversation for mature audiences only. Tonight, we have a young lady. After I did the pre interview with her, the one word that came absolutely was to call her resilient because she has weathered so many storms in her young life. This young lady is the founder of Save Our Daughters, which was founded in Nassau, Bahamas. So she'll tell you a little more about her organization and what she does to help young girls. But her story is one of incredible strength, amazing grace, a story of resilience, and a story that you need to pay close attention to, particularly if you have young children, if you have young women in your homes, if you have little girls in your home, rather. This is a story that you won't want to miss. And so tonight, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to our platform tonight, Davina Smith. Davina, it's so good to have you here tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here as well.
Okay, sounds a little muffled, but speak up a little bit so that we can hear you clearly. So I never heard of Davina or her story until about a week ago. And I found out that we were actually in a women's group together, even though we've never physically met. But Davina, let's start from the beginning. You were raised in a two-parent home, a
Yeah.
traditional home in the historic neighborhood of Baintown in Nassau. And anybody who's from Nassau, Bahamas, would probably have heard of Baintown before. It's one of those traditional old school neighborhoods. They call it over the hill, where I believe family units and family is still very, very important to those persons who grow up in that community. It's still a close knit community. So she was raised from that type of background with family members who loved and cared for her with two siblings. So she's the eldest of three. And so she's always been a leader and had some responsibility in the home and throughout her life, as you will learn later. But something really terrible happened to you at a very, very early age. So let's talk a little bit about what happened to you at the age of 6.
Okay, so at the age of 6, I was sexually abused by my father.
And how did you know what was happening to you? And what's your recollection of when it began?
Okay, so when it first started happening, he would come into our room and he would touch me. He would touch me, I didn't have any chest, obviously, so I would feel his hands on my body, touching me. That's when it first started as touching. And then it got more intense as I grew older. But at the age of 6, I could remember penetration.
Now, did you have a separate bedroom or were your siblings in the room with you as well?
So my siblings were in the room as well. We had a two-bedroom house, and so we stayed in one room. We had bunk beds at the time.
That
So
bunk
I
bed.
was on the bottom bunk bed.
And so what did when he first approached you, because this is we've heard stories like this before, but it's still very uncomfortable just talking
Mhm.
about the notion of a father touching his child. What did he say to you, if you can remember the first time it actually happened?
He was like, "Don't tell no one. It's gonna ruin the family." So each time he would come into the room, I would always hear him say, "Don't tell anyone. It's gonna ruin the family." I didn't say anything
So
at
you
that
never
time.
said anything. And from the age of 6, how long and how often would he come in the room and touch you?
every other day I could remember, and it lasted until I was 14. At the age of 14, I could remember. That's
It
the last
lasted
time it
until
happened.
the age of 14.
Yeah.
Did it affect your behavior in any way, whether in the home or at school?
Um, I was pretty withdrawn. I was more quiet. I was always a quiet person, but I became more silent and didn't want to go anywhere or want to be around anyone. So I would always be alone. I was in became antisocial. Didn't want to be bothered at that time.
Did you ever get angry? Did you find yourself just being like popping off easily on anybody?
Um, no, I know I cry a lot. I used to cry a lot.
Hmm.
That's I used to cry a lot. Yeah,
You cried a lot.
and when I was younger, but in the ninth, when I was in junior high school, I know I used to fight boys a lot. If they would touch me, like you walk in the corridor, and a boy he touched my hip, and I just snapped when he touched me. So that just rushed back to my mind, and I just snapped at him when I was in the ninth grade.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So when do you remember? You said he started with just touching you, fondling you, etc. Do you
yeah.
remember when he first penetrated you?
At
How
the age of
old were
six,
you?
like I remember at the age of six, because at that time, how I remember was we were living upstairs. We were Enid Street. We were living. I was about that age when we lived upstairs in an apartment. So at the age of six is when I remember him
He
was
started the
at
penetration
the
from
age
the
of six.
age of 6.
Yeah,
Wow. And why did you not say anything to your mother? What was it that he was saying to you that prevented you from saying something to your mother?
that's what they don't say anything because they were really bad. So I was scared because he drank. Um, I watched them fight. They fight too. So I guess I was scared to tell my mom. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't tell her at the time, but I probably was scared because he was always say, "Don't tell anyone," because if you in family, that's all he would say. Don't say anything because if you're in family, don't say anything. And
Okay,
I guess I
so do you think he was drunk when he was coming into you during those times?
can't say
You don't
remember.
know.
I don't
Okay.
remember. He was, yeah,
So
yeah,
at
he was,
6, okay, at 6, he penetrated you. You didn't say anything to your mom and you just went about life as normal. Did you ever, at any point, even talk to anybody? Because this would have been at the very beginning of your school life.
mhm.
Did you ever tell anybody, a teacher, a close friend, your siblings?
No, not at that age, but I remember speaking out about it after the fact, after 14. I remember being more
So,
finding my voice per se.
mhm. So you went through the entire primary school career. I'm calling it career. Primary
Mm-hmm.
school, never said a word, entered into junior high school, and that's when you recognized that the anger was beginning to manifest because you would fight a lot. You would fight a lot with boys in particular, as you said. And at 14, what happened?
Hmm. So at 14, I became pregnant at the age of 14. So I found out during
And you were
exam.
pregnant by your father.
Yes.
Hmm. How did you find out?
So he was sitting the UGC, UJC exams. I was in the ninth grade at the time, and I was sick. I felt sick, and so I was sent to the office. And so after I was sent to the nurse's station, the nurse asked me some questions, and I guess my response, she told me to I had to urinate, and she was like, I'm gonna have to call. She told the guidance counselor, they're gonna have to call our parents in. and she said that you're pregnant. And I just break down crying because I'm like, what? You know? So I just break down crying. I was speechless for the whole time. And then my mom and my dad came and um, she told them what had happened. And I just looked up. When I looked up at him, I knew the expression and don't say anything because everyone was giving that look. Don't you dare say nothing. So
Your audio is really muffled, and I don't know why. It sounds a little muffled, but we're going to work our way through this because people are struggling to hear. But so at 14, you're let me just repeat it. At 14, you're sitting your BJCs and you fell sick. You went to the nurse's station and they examined you. I mean, what made them give you a pregnancy test?
I was vomiting a lot. I was vomiting when I went to the office.
Okay,
I
it's
told
so
them
much
that my
better now.
stomach was hurting. And so she asked me a few questions, and that's how she got me to take the test, the B test.
Okay, and how the test came? It was like right away. You took the
Positive, yeah,
test right there.
yes.
So you hear you're pregnant. You're 14 years old. What was going through your mind?
I was scared. I was scared. I'm like, can't be. All sorts of things running through my mind. What? Like, I was, like, it really couldn't be me. Like, I was really scared.
Mhm.
Like, it can't be.
And at that time, your father was the only person that you were sexually active with.
Oh, yes. I didn't even know what that is,
Mhm.
you
So,
know?
so they called your parents,
Yeah.
and you eventually have a meeting at the school. Your parents come in. What is that conversation like as the guidance counselor or whomever is talking to your parents? What's that conversation like?
They were like, Davina is, you're going to have to take Davina to a doctor or the clinic to further be examined because she's pregnant. We found out that she's pregnant. So my mom ended up taking me to uh, St. Luke's. That's the name of it, St. Luke's Medical Center. And that's when we found out that I was 6.5 months pregnant.
6.5 months.
Hmm. Six and
What
a
were
half
you
months
showing?
pregnant.
Was
I
there any
wasn't like,
indication? Wow. Okay, so you're sitting in the office with both your parents, mother and father, having this conversation with the guidance counselor. And what is is your father saying anything at that time?
silence. Just giving me the eye. Just giving me the eye.
The eye, like, don't you say anything.
Right.
So once you got home after that event, what was that like? What was the conversation like at home? Was there any further discussion about who you were pregnant for, when
Hmm.
did it happen, etc.?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
this was with both parents or just your mother or
With my mom actually, with my mom.
Mhm,
And I'm crying, she's crying. I couldn't develop the strength right then to say I just was scared.
mhm,
I just was scared. I didn't know how to say mommy, you know?
mhm.
I was scared.
So you're going through, so you're 6.5 months pregnant. That's incredible. And what were the next steps after you found out you were pregnant? Were you allowed to go back into school or what happened?
Oh, I had to go to PACE. I went to PACE for the duration of
The
my
PACE is
that
an alternative school
yeah,
for
for 3 months.
pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I attended the PACE school and the PACE clinic. We weren't allowed to go to the regular clinic, but we had to go to the PACE clinic. So I went to the PACE clinic and I went to PACE school um, before and after I had my daughter.
and you go and you're still home day to day and you still didn't say a word to your mother
No, I didn't say anything. Didn't say anything yet.
yet. Okay,
Right.
so now it's time to deliver and you have a baby girl or
Hmm.
boy.
Girl.
You have a girl and by this time you're 15.
Yes.
Okay, so you're 15 and you delivered your girl and you come back home. Who were your parents at the hospital when you had the baby?
No.
They were at the hospital. Okay.
Mhm.
Who was there with you?
No. They weren't there. Like she dropped me to the hospital, but they weren't there. They weren't there. They got a call after the fact.
What was that like at 15?
Scary. The nurse was like, "Shut up in here. Your mother wasn't there when you was doing your do."
Wow.
Yeah.
So there was no support system around.
No. No. No.
Uh,
I
and
just Yeah. When the nurse said that I went to almost like I was went into depression. I'm like, I was lost. How could you say that to a 15-year-old? You don't even know. Like how
what
could you even
happened?
say that?
So you deliver the baby, a healthy baby girl. How much
Yeah.
did she weigh? How much did she
Six
weigh?
pounds, 3 ounces.
6 pounds, 3 ounces. I
Mhm.
guess that's pretty average size for a baby, I guess. But she's healthy, and that's a wonderful thing. And now it's time to go back home. What was that like returning to the house after delivering your baby?
Still silent. Everybody was still quiet. My mom was still like disappointed. Um, well, they wanted me to adopt the baby. First off, I wasn't allowed to
You
keep.
mean to give the baby up for adoption?
Yeah, give her up for adoption.
Okay.
Yeah, but my aunt was like, no, don't give her up for adoption. Don't do it. You don't know what this child will grow up to become.
Mhm.
So don't give her up for adoption. So I didn't do it.
Did you have any concept at 15 of what it meant to be responsible for
No,
another life?
no.
And so being at home, did your parents play an active role, mother or father, in helping you to raise this baby?
My mom would, but not much. But my aunt was mainly the one. Um, yeah, she was there for me all the way. My mom was there too, but she was still angry at me. But yeah,
And
she
so
was
you allowed her to be angry at you protecting your father. And what was it like in the house? What was the atmosphere like?
just silence, just silence. He wouldn't be home like that. He wasn't home most of the time.
Mhm.
So at that time, he wasn't home most of the time.
Did he ever attempt to continue to have sex with you even after you were known to be pregnant and after having the baby?
Well, yes, yes. That's when enough was enough. Then I'm like, this,
This
nope.
is after the baby?
After the baby,
He still came back at you.
yes.
And so what did you do? What did you say? I like the first time because I'm just trying to visualize you have a baby, you raising, it's his, nobody knows but you and him, and he's still trying to creep in
Mm.
to have abuse you in essence. What gave you the courage that time when he came back this time to say no? Or tell us what happened.
Well, it was the night before my daughter's first birthday, and um,
So wait a minute. I just stick a pin in there.
mhm,
So you're telling me that after you delivered the baby up until the night before your daughter turned one, he was still having sex with you?
No,
Okay.
no, it
Okay.
stopped for a while. It stopped.
Okay.
But at the night before my daughter's first birthday, that's when he wanted to do again because my mom worked the early shift. She would go to work early in the morning, 5 a.m. She would be then left the house. And so I got a tap on my shoulder, and I know that meant. And I was like, no,
Mhm. Now, were you still in the same room at that point with your siblings, or by then you had your own room with
I
the
was still
baby?
in the same room, but I had a single bed then. I had a single bed.
Mhm. Now, let me backtrack a little bit because you mentioned something about your mom working shifts. So,
Hmm.
those nights when he was coming into you, was that because she was at work?
Right. She was at work.
Okay. Uh, wow. Okay. So, when he came and you just said no, was that enough for him to back off?
No, he still would touch, and I said no. I said no, no, daddy, no.
Hmm.
And so he was upset that I was saying no. He was really upset that I was saying no.
But he eventually went away.
Yeah.
Okay. So at what point now? You're 15, you're raising, well, going on 16 by now, because you're saying your baby is a year old,
Mhm.
almost a year the day before. When do you find, first of all, where do you find the strength? And when do you finally tell your mother what has been going
Um,
on for the past 11 years?
Well, on my
Or
daughter's
9 years, rather.
first birthday, I took her to McDonald's and I took her to take some photos.
Mhm.
And um, when I probably took too long to come back home, I don't know, but our house was in the front of the bus stop. And so when I was on the bus heading home, I passed our house. I was about to stop, and I see him on the bus stop with a piece of wood in his hand. So I'm like, okay, we going with this wood. So I didn't go home. I went ran on the bus because I knew he had work for 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. So when I saw that he went to work, then I went home. And when
Okay.
I went home, I just gave the baby to my brother. And I said, I'm not coming back. I say, I ain't coming back with tears in my book. I was crying saying to my brother, I'm not coming back. And he looked at me and said, I know thee. I know. So when he said that in my mind, I'm like, okay, my brother probably know why, what's going on.
Hmm. So I want to backtrack because you said he was standing on the bus stop with a piece of wood in his hand. Was it customary for him to physically abuse you too and hit you with pieces of wood or anything? Or was that the first time?
No, that wasn't the first time. Um, the first time was we were at my aunt's house in Beanstown, and I lived through Augusta Street. And my cousin and I was outside talking to some friends. And so someone must have told him that I was outside talking to boys. And when he came staggering, walking through the corner and saw me, and he literally beat me unconscious. I was beaten unconscious.
Beaten unconscious
And
with what? His hands?
he had that was a wood in his hand. He had a piece of wood, a stick or wood, whatever it was. But he actually was. I was beaten unconscious. And when I came to, he walked by my grandmother's house. He took me by my grandmother's house, and I went in the room. He was still slapping me and hitting me, and he was like, "Don't never let me catch you talking to these girls." What word he used? Oh gosh, what word he used? Anyway, he was like, "Don't let me catch you talking to these little boys or whatever. If
Mhm.
I can't have you, no one else can have you." That's his words to me was.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was probably four. No, I was 15. I was still 15. That's after I had my daughter. It was after I had her.
After you had your daughter, so
Yeah,
you said he beat you unconscious.
beat me unconscious, unconscious.
And you're the next from the time you pass out to when you were able to gather yourself, then you walk to your grandmother's house with him.
Yeah, he dragged me actually to my grandmother's house. My grandmother lived right around the corner from my aunt's house, and so we were in the room, and my grandmother heard him beating me or whatever. So she was like, "What are you doing, to this girl? You trying to go to jail?" And that's when he stopped hitting me, and he wanted that night to bother with me. And I would tell her, I say no, no, no. And my grandma, you probably hear me screaming or whatever. And she came to the room, and that's how I was saved from that night.
You slept at your grandmother's house that night.
Right.
Did your mother know that he was physically abusing you like that as
He
well?
knew he beat me. His excuse was I was talking to boys. So that's why he beat me.
But did your mother know that he did it? Did you ever talk about it with her?
What do you mean? The beating or
Yeah, the beating, because you said you
yes,
would walk unconscious. Like,
yes. I tell her, but his excuse was he beat me because he kept me talking to boys, which
okay,
wasn't true.
okay. If you're just joining us, I'm having a conversation with Davina Smith, such a brave, strong, beautiful young woman who has endured so much. And I want to now take a look at some of the comments so far, Davina.
Okay.
And wow, people have been saying, sorry that you had to go through all of that trauma. That's Nyoka. Joanna Seymour just simply says, wow. Um, Irma Bain says, this is so hard to hear. She had to go through that all by herself.
Mm,
Max Altador, hey Max. Lavette McFall says, this is heart wrenching. Max Altador says, he needs Jesus, he needs help. He is very sick. Rebecca Mills says, this has me in tears. Lavette says, I can't believe that. Nyoka says he's supposed to be protecting you from these things.
mm,
Wow, it's just amazing. So please, if you're just joining us, please share the live stream because this is why I call this a story of resilience. You are already witnessing the amazing strength and resilience of this young woman who has enjoyed so much. And okay, we're back. We just had a little glitch. Okay. Um, at 15, he beat you. I mean, had the nerve, I'm gonna say, to beat you for talking to some boys and telling you. I mean, just literally saying if he can't have you, nobody
mm,
else can.
mhm.
That's just insane. And after, at what point did you finally say enough? We talked about him trying to touch you at home again in the room, trying to have sex with you. When did you tell your mother?
Well, I ran away from home. I ran away from home on my daughter's first birthday. And like I said, I went around on the bus and I knew that he would have work for 5 o'clock. So that's when I went home. Um, and I told my brother that I wasn't coming back home. And so I wasn't gone long, missing long, per se. For a few days, probably three days the most.
Mhm.
I was at a
And you left.
friend.
Let's backtrack. You went home and you left. You gave your daughter to your brother and told him you're not coming back. And then a few days later, you did come back home. Why?
No, I didn't go back home.
You didn't go back home. A few days later.
No, I
Okay.
didn't go back home. So I was on the bus stop. I was on the bus stop
Okay.
just
Wait a
thinking
minute.
like,
Sorry, because I just want to make sure I'm clear. So you said you decided you were going to leave
mm-hmm,
home. and
Mhm.
you left your baby home with your family
Mhm.
in essence,
Mhm.
and you go missing
Right.
for a couple of days. They
Right.
literally put in a missing persons report, and so your family was worried and they were looking for you.
Yeah.
And then you get to, you said now you're on a bus.
No, I didn't. I was on the bus stop,
You were on the bus stop. So
and my
in the
aunt.
3 days that you were missing, where were you?
I was at a friend's house. I was at a friend's house at the time. Yeah.
And the teenagers' parents didn't wonder why you were at their house?
No.
Okay.
I did tell my friend what did happen. I had to end up telling my friend well why I was there or whatever. So I don't know what story she came up with to tell her mom at the
Right.
time, but her mom was kind of nonchalant, let her do whatever she wanted to do or whatever.
So it
So
was easy for you to be there.
right. So I was like, oh, my mom said it was okay,
Hmm.
and that was that. You know,
Okay.
back then I don't think they were. You know, we were all a tight knit community, so I guess she felt as though it was okay then.
Hmm.
Um, so I was on the bus stop, and my aunt saw me on the bus stop, and she snapped me and said, "Get in this car. You have everybody worried about you." And she took me straight to the station. And so when we got to the station, they called my mommy to the station, and when they called her to the station, I was telling the police, I said, I don't want to go home. I'm not going home because my daddy, bothering with me. I say, I'm not going home with her. I crying, scared now. But I said, please, I said, don't let me, I won't go home. And so the police telling me, shut up in here. I just want to be bad and rebellious.
So you
So
say it to the police before you say it to your mom, or she was in the room the same
she
time?
wasn't there yet.
Okay.
She wasn't there yet. So I'm telling the police that I don't want to go home because my dad is bothering me. Um, and she's telling me I'm lying. I just want to be bad and rebellious. And so when my mommy came, I tell her too. I say, please, I say, I don't want to go. I said, don't take me home. I don't go home. Daddy, I say, daddy, bothering with me. And so she looking at me strange, like, what you talking about? You lying. At that point, she didn't believe me that I was lying. Just wanted to have my own way or whatever. I
Hmm.
didn't understand it because it wasn't like I was, um, I was still quiet, still respectful, and was not. So obviously, in your mind, you're like, you know, believe me a little bit, you know,
Hmm.
but she didn't believe me at the time.
So
So
obviously you had to go back home
I
with your
know I didn't go home. I didn't go home. I don't know why I slept in the cell that night, but I ended up sleeping in the cell that night.
at 15.
Yes, I slept in the cell that night, and I went to court the next day. And when I went to court, I explained to the judge too that why what they asked why I ran away or whatever was my reason. And I told them. And so instead of sending me to the girls' industrial school, I was sent to Sandlands Adolescent Center.
So wait a
Uh,
minute. Wait a minute.
hmm
Let's not go too quickly here. You sleep in the cell and you go to court because what? Just
I don't know. I wasn't told
they
why.
didn't just release you to the custody of your mother to
No,
go back home.
no,
Okay, so somebody must have rendered you, as they say,
yeah,
uncontrollable or something like
right,
that.
right,
But and the somebody obviously had to be a parent.
right.
So you go to at the you said you didn't go to what's it called, the William A. Pratt Center or
No, no, I
something
didn't go
like
to
that.
the
So you didn't go
Center.
there. Where did you go?
I went to Sandlands Adolescent Center.
Sandilands Adolescent Center.
Yeah,
Like so, I know a lot of people viewing probably don't even know that exists.
yeah.
So you go to the center. Do you even know why at 15? Why you're there?
No, I didn't know why I was sent there. I
Did
didn't know.
anybody? So, what was it like once you got there? What did they? What was the routine? Did anybody explain anything? Your hair because so and so and so. What was it like?
Um, no, they didn't explain to me why I was there. I didn't get an explanation as to why. I was there. Um,
So what was the daily routine like being there?
we had the girls. It was like girls and boys. We had dorms there. The girls would be in one dorm, and the boys would be in another dorm. We still had school. We still had classes, math, English. We still had the regular classes, but we weren't in school. And we had like counseling sessions and what's not. And so, yeah,
Do
we would
you
have counseling
remember what
sessions.
do you remember what was discussed in the counseling sessions?
No, I can't remember exactly what
Okay.
was the discussions about.
So while you're up there, your mother, who's caring for your baby?
My mom, I guess, my mom and my aunt.
Okay. And how long were you in that center up there?
I was there for about um, 6 months, basically.
6 months.
Month.
Okay. And when you're released, what happened? So after the 6 months, and then one day they just said you're free to go home, or what happens?
Yeah, so my mom came and she was like, they're releasing me. And so I told her, I said, I don't want to go home.
Mhm.
I said, I'm not going to go. I don't want to go home. Send me to you to my Grammy.
Okay.
And so I was sent to the island to live with
And
my
this is at
grandmother.
16 or
Yeah.
16 by then. Did you take
Yeah.
your baby with you?
Not at first, not
Mhm.
at first, but I did. She did come after I went.
So you didn't get to, did you go back to school in Eleuthera?
No,
Didn't go back to school. So when
no.
you went to your grandmother, what was that like and what did you do? You're sitting in Eleuthera, um, and what was life like there?
Um, well, I had to work. I had to work at 16
Okay, so where
because
did you go to work?
I had to. There was this place called Half Moon Key. It's off of Luther and Jet Island. It's a little key just off of those two islands
Hmm.
called Half Moon Key. And so I worked there as a tour guide
Okay.
for a while.
And then eventually your baby comes. How long before your baby comes or you go and get your baby or whatever happened?
A month, a
Okay.
month.
Was just around. So how
Yeah.
did you manage at 16 working full time and dealing with a young baby who would have been how old by then? A toddler? She was two by
Yeah,
then.
she was still two. She was
Yeah.
two. Yeah.
So how did you manage that?
Um, well, my grandmother helped me a lot, and then my I had a cousin also that would watch her while I would go to work.
Okay.
And so my Grammy would go early in the morning in the field,
Hmm.
and my cousin would watch her while because I had to leave for like 4 a.m. In the morning to on the bus stop to get to the bus to go on the key for 5 o'clock.
Hmm.
So yeah, my cousin would help me babysit her at the time.
Okay. How many years did you do that?
Um, 6 years, 6 years.
At that point, did you have any contact while you were in Eleuthera with your grandmother, with your parents? Were they checking on you? Were they helping to pretty much take care of? I mean, you are the baby, sending money to help or assist in any way?
My mom would send stuff. She would send stuff for us. Yeah.
Okay. So how are you at this point, 16, working, raising a kid? How are you doing emotionally? What's happening with you?
I was a wreck. I
Mhm.
was a wreck basically. Um, Still trying to find my way. I got into a relationship with an older guy um, that took care of me and my daughter at the time,
How much older?
and
How much older?
twice my age, twice my age, much older than I was.
Okay.
And so I had another child. I had a boy
At
after
what
that.
age? At what age?
So I was 18 when I had my second child. I was
Okay.
18.
And it was for this older man that you were
Yeah.
dating at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're 18 with two kids. But is this
Mhm.
older man now playing an active role in your son's life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had him while you were still in Eleuthera.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long after having your son did you return to New Providence?
Well, after that, I had another son. I had another son by another guy. So me and this older
Before
guy was
you returned
yeah.
to, okay. Mm-hmm.
So after that, the relationship didn't last, and so I ended up getting into another relationship.
With
I
another
wouldn't even
older
call these
man?
relationships. I would call these situationships. I wasn't no relationship with these men. So I had another child by another guy.
Mm-hmm. Was that another older man?
Yes, he was older than I was also.
Okay.
Yes,
And so how old were you when you had the third child?
I was 21.
21. Okay.
Mhm.
So we obviously see the pattern of you with older men at that particular time, and you're just pretty much trying to find yourself, figure out your way, and you subsequently are a young mother and you have these three kids to raise. At any point in this journey so far, did somebody say to you, Davina, I think you need to go to therapy? I think you need to see a counselor? Did anybody say anything like that to you or offer any kind of advice or mentorship to you?
Mhm.
No.
No.
Show your work. So what time, rather, how old were you when you finally left Eleuthera to return to New Providence?
When I was 22. When I was 22.
And at that
So
time,
after I had my son,
so at 22, you would have had by then what, a
3 kids.
7 year old,
Yeah.
7 year old, what, 3 year old?
Yes.
And how old was the baby?
Fiance he wasn't quite one yet. He was almost one.
Hmm. What made you return to New Providence? And did you have any second thoughts about doing it?
Um, no, no. I probably just needed a better way of, I wanted a change per se. I wanted more, I wanted better.
Hmm.
And so I came back to Nassau and I worked. And I was staying with my aunt at the time before I got my apartment. I stayed with my aunt for a while.
So your aunt and your mother basically had been that staple support system in your life.
Not no, only my mom helped after the first one. So the other two, she was like, okay, you want your own. Because obviously, this is you want. This is the path that you take and you want your own with that. And so I had to work and take care of the kids myself.
Okay. You're working, you have these three kids, and then something really amazing happens because you have three kids, but you meet someone that is closer to your age or probably the same age as you, and you began a relationship with him. Tell us about when he first approached you and what was that like?
So I came back to Nassau and I found work. There was this night spot in the back of Fish Fry called Harry's Hut. And so I did security there. And this guy was a DJ. He was a DJ at the time playing at the spot. And that night, he asked me to use my phone. And so I don't know why I lent him my phone, but I lent him my phone and he called his phone. So I guess that was the smart way of trying to get my number.
Hmm.
And so when he called me the next day and I'm like, who's this? So he was like, this is the guy that used your phone last night. So I was like, okay, what you want?
Hmm.
So he's like, I don't want anything. I was wondering if I could take you out. And so I was real nonchalant. I was like, Mister, I ain't on that run. I ain't with that life. I no. So he asked again. He called me back a couple days after that. And so he was like, I would still like to take you out on that date. So I was like, Mister, just get to the point. What you want? What you want? If you
Mhm.
just tell me, he said you want to have a nice time. I mean, just say what you want. You know? So he's like, where you getting that? I said, he's like, I don't want anything from you. I want to get to know you. Can I take you out on a date? So I was like, this guy really persistent. So we end up going on a date. Um, we end up going to dinner at Poop Deck,
Mhm.
and we dated for a while. It was different. This time I didn't sleep with this one right away, you know. So it was kind of different. Like this guy, he didn't want to tell me like it's really strange, you know.
Was that
Everybody
the
else,
first time you had ever been on a real date?
yes, it's the first time I ever been on a real date.
Okay.
And so it was kind of strange for me. I'm like, something right here, this guy, he's sitting a little right with me. So I wasn't really used to that. So I kind of didn't know how to accept that because that wasn't what I was used to. And so we dated for a while, not a long while. We dated for like 6 months.
Mhm.
And then he popped the question. He asked me to marry him at a spot that we first went to dinner date on. I proved that he asked me to marry him.
Within 6 months. Within 6 months of
In six
dating.
months. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, what are you thinking? Um, Within 6 months of knowing this guy, did you have any apprehensions, or were you just super excited? Yeah. What was going on in your head?
I didn't respond right away. I was still shocked. I'm like, this was serious? Like, you serious? I keep asking him, I say, you sure? Are you serious? You sure you want to do this? And he was like, yes, will you marry me? So I said, yes. I said, yes, I would marry you.
Mhm. And
And
how
so
long after the proposal did you actually get married?
we got married the following year. So that was in 2010, 2011, July 30th, we got married.
And he proposed to you when in the year before?
That was that was November. November.
Okay. So you get
October,
married,
November around there.
and this is a guy. Did he have any kids?
No, he had no kids. He had no kids.
And here you were at 22 or 23 with three kids,
Yeah.
and he was fine with that.
Yes.
So talk
He was
about your
okay.
life with him. Talk about his acceptance of the kids and what happened subsequently.
Um, he loved the kids. He loved me. He was a good dad, excellent father. Um, well, my son Dante. Well, I met him when my son was one. So basically, he took my last child as his own. You know, he signed for him and called him his son. Um, and I had ended up having another child by my husband. 2012, I got pregnant again with my baby girl. So I have two girls and two boys now. And so life was good. Life was good. I got to adjust to the new life. I wasn't sure of how to be a wife, you
Right.
know. It
Hmm.
was still new to me. I was still feeling my way. And so I asked him the question. I say, why? I say, why you chose me? You could have picked any girl out there. I said, I don't have anything to give you. But bear in mind, he came from a good background, a Christian background. His family was set or whatever. And so here I am, the Beantown girl. Um, I don't have anything to offer, you know? So I thought I didn't have anything to offer him. And so I was like, why you chose me? I say, you could have picked anybody. I say, why me? So he's like, I see a diamond in the rough. You're a diamond in the rough. And he said, I see what you don't see.
Hmm.
And so that just blew me away. I'm like, this guy really into me. Because even though even after we got married, I'm like, this guy was just waiting for something to happen. Because it still seems unreal, you know?
Hmm.
Like, is he trying to trick me, you know? I still couldn't accept the fact that this guy was really into me, you
He
know?
he was really into you. Okay, let's get to some more comments right now. We're gonna get right back to that story. Um, Somebody just said, Nayoka says, "Mom, you were so young." Um, I just see a lot of wows, a lot of wows. Um, your daddy shouldn't have done this to you, and I could imagine his mom. So, yeah, speaking of his mom, and he shows up with this woman that he's going to marry with the three kids, and what was the family's acceptance like? I mean, you just gotta ask because he has no kids. You have three, and their son is going to marry you. How did you handle that? Were they accepting? Did it take a while to adjust? What was
I
that like?
guess it took a while to adjust. I
Mhm.
guess it took a while to adjust.
Took a
Yeah.
while to adjust.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been married?
We've been married for 8 years.
You were
8 years.
married for 8 years, and it had been good up to a point, and then something happened that again changed the whole trajectory of your life. So, tell us about that. In what year and did it happen? And explain.
Um, like in the like I said before that I wasn't receptive of his love, to say if I can say that. Because I didn't know what it really meant to be loved and feel love, you know, and how to show love.
Mhm.
So I was always iffy about certain things, didn't want to do certain things, didn't want to open up about certain things. Um, and it was our marriage was pretty smooth until about the 6th year. The 6th year was really really rough, you know, but we still managed to hold on, you know. I know
It was
I
rough
knew,
just because you still hadn't gotten any real counseling or
you know,
anything on how to be able to accept that somebody
really,
genuinely, purely loves you, and you
yeah,
struggled with that.
yes, yes. And so at this point, I'm like, Davina, you gotta get it together. I really wanted to be, you know, I didn't want to pretend anymore because at that time, I think I was pretending to be something that I wasn't,
And what was
you
that?
know,
What was that?
to be this person that I pretended to be like I had it all together when deep down I didn't have it together,
Okay.
you know?
Mhm.
And so I just was tired of pretending. And so I wanted more. I wanted to see who Davina could be. You know, who was this Davina? Because I didn't know who I was.
Mhm.
You know, so I had to find me.
And
And
what did you do to find you?
I accepted God in my life,
Hmm.
and I allowed Him to guide me.
Hmm. And
Um,
at what age? At what age was that?
I was still young. I was no, I'm young. I'm 32.
You are young. Yeah.
So yes. So when I was 28, I gave my life to God.
Hmm.
28. Yeah.
So you got involved in ministry because you said you were on this quest to find you. So you accepted the Lord into your heart, and then how did you manage that? And did you get involved in ministry? Did you plunge yourself in and just go all out? Talk about that relationship and your marriage at the same time, and the four kids, because you had to be juggling all these things. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that.
Yes. And so I found a church home called New Life Restoration Ministries. Um, I attended, I went, I visited a few times. And just the name alone sparked something in me because I really did need a new life.
Hmm.
And so I went a few times and I enjoyed the service and what's not. So it compelled me to, you know, I wanted to be a part of the ministry.
Okay.
And so I signed in my membership to be a part of the church. And after that, I sat down for a while and I wanted to join the children's ministry and also the praise team because I am a worshiper. When I was going through, that's what was getting me through. I sang a lot. I
Mhm.
sang and I wrote. Like I was not one to really say what was going on with me, and so I always held everything inside. I didn't know how to really release what was going on
Mhm.
with me, and so I'd always find myself writing a lot or singing, and that's how I got my release like that. And so, yeah, so I joined the ministry, and just this one night, I was in the bathroom, and I just had a breakdown because here I am married with 4 kids, and I just didn't feel complete. I'm like, I still felt like dirty. I still felt like something was missing. Like I still could feel. I would have flashbacks of what happened to me, and I was battling with that for a while. I'm like, I'm more than this. And so I prayed to God. I cried in the shower, and I was like, God, I need you to save me from me, because I would find myself crying a lot, like. So I was like, God, I need you to save me from me. And if you save me from me, I would go out there and I would do your work and I would help other young ladies who have maybe been through what I've been through to
Mhm.
overcome whatever it is that they've been through. And so I just released. I said, God, wash me. I need you to wash me white as snow. I said, I need to know this God that I see. Everybody is serving. I need to know that you are God, that you are a real and true God. If you show me that you are true God, I need you to save me. Save me from me, you
Mhm.
know? And so after I finished praying, I just rest. I rest after I came out of the shower. I just was lingering in the bathroom for a while. And then in my mind, this name came in my mind, like it was like save our daughters. Came in my mind. And
Save
that's how save
us.
our daughters, yes.
Okay.
I didn't I wrote it down. I didn't act on it then. I wanted to know what it was that God needed me or wanted me to do. Um, but during my time I was for help while I was trying to find myself, I think that I was losing out on my marriage per se because I wanted to be so sold out. I wanted to be so different. I wanted to be so pure, so holy. I wanted God to really do a work on the inside of me. And I needed to be better for me
Mhm.
so I could be better for my family. But I think I was neglecting my husband per se because I was still stayed at home mom. I still cook, clean, did whatever I needed to do for the kids and my husband. But that attention that he needed from me, I wasn't able to give him because I thought that I needed to be better. I needed to do more. I needed to be more. And so I enrolled in these programs. I pushed. I stayed in church. I just wanted to be free.
So
And
you
so,
did, you did basically what a lot of Christian women do, and that's like plunge themselves into ministry and they make sure they're in every prayer meeting, every Bible study, every conference, revival, all that kind of stuff at the great sacrifice many times of their husbands and their families and all in this quest, as you say, to be closer to God, to just feel more complete and to do all
right,
that stuff.
right.
So I
And
just
so,
in case you didn't know, that part is not unique. A lot of women don't exercise the wisdom to be able to balance,
correct.
that
Yeah,
your Christian life with your marriage and your family, etc. Yeah.
right. And so what I realized that I was really pushing him away and not, pulling him into the things of God per se. Um, because sometimes he would want me to stay home and I would be like, I want to go to church or I want to go, this place or that place. And I guess I was really pushing him away. And so on August 8th of last year, um, my husband, we were arguing about something.
2019.
2019, yes.
Okay. Hmm.
We were arguing about something and we didn't speak to each other for we were giving each other the silent treatment for like 2 weeks. So I
Two
didn't speak,
weeks? Did you say
we
2 weeks?
didn't speak 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So here comes our anniversary of 2019, July 3rd, would have made us 8 years married. Our anniversary night comes. We didn't say anything to each other. He didn't say anything to me. I didn't say anything to him. We went about our day as if it was normal. And so here I am. I'm mad, mad on the inside, but I'm not budging. I'm like, I ain't saying nothing because he ain't saying nothing, you know. But I am dying on the inside, wanting to hug and embrace my husband. And but this little birdie on my shoulder is like, oh, he ain't telling you happy anniversary, so what you getting all, you know, getting
Mm-hmm.
all in your feelings for because he ain't saying it, so why you worrying? And so I didn't say anything. And so 8 days later, 9 days later actually, because it was oh yeah, 8 days later.
And so this silent treatment continued for the next
Yeah,
30 days as well?
couple days, yes.
Okay.
So after our anniversary and then day upper until he passed away, we were still giving each other the silent treatment. Passed away on August 8th of 2019. So I've been 9 days after our wedding anniversary.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah.
So, okay, let's talk, let's dissect this. So, where were you when you got the call, or were you with him, or what happened?
Mm-mm. Well, I had just got a job, not even a month good. I just got this job at the airport. Um, and I was calling him to ask him about, I got a manager position at the airport. And I was calling him to ask him about the information of the car, the driver's license plate number and what's not for the car. And he wasn't answering me. And so Um, I keep calling, 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 calling. He ain't answering me. So I say in my mind, saying, but he's still married or whatever. And so my daughter answers the phone and she's like, Mommy, crying. She's crying on the phone. So I'm like, I said,
Now,
what,
which
Mommy?
daughter is this?
That's my oldest daughter.
Which
Just
daughter? Okay.
crying on the phone. And she couldn't speak. So I'm like, why you crying? I said, it's all right. So she says, all right here. So my 8 year old takes the phone from her. And he's like, Mommy, Daddy ain't waking up, Daddy ain't breathing. And I'm like, Daddy ain't breathing? What you talking about? What you mean Daddy ain't breathing? I said, home with y'all over there. But he picked the kids up from home and went to his mom's house. So he died at his mom's house.
Wow.
So I'm like, what you mean Daddy ain't breathing? So he's like, yeah, Daddy ain't responding, Daddy ain't responding. So I came off the phone and I told them I said I had to leave, something's going on at with my husband and I have to go. And so I don't know how I made it to the house, so fast. So I'm crying and I'm saying, Lord, please forgive me. I didn't mean to not speak to my husband. I said, God, please. I said, please don't let him die. I said, that's just let me stay. Please, let me just tell him how much I love him, how much I need him, how much I adore him. Please, Lord, don't let him die. And what's not. So when I got here and I saw him laying down, just lifeless, I almost passed out. I'm like, Lord, my husband really gone for true. Like, he really gone. And so I couldn't come to like all kind of things was going through my mind. I'm like, God, no. Like really, I said I gave this man a silent treatment for whole 2 weeks. No, not didn't even get to hear me say sorry or I love you, I miss you, I need you. And that almost tore me apart. That almost tore me apart. I don't
It's,
wish that on anyone. So here I am.
yeah. So
I'm already.
how have you been coping? How have you been coping?
Um, my kids, especially my 8 year old. I mean, her and my oldest daughter actually watched him pass away. And to see her so strong, it gives me strength also because I'm like, wow, it's like they actually watch this and they always around me, especially my daughter. Every morning I would get a kiss, Mommy, I love you. Every night before she goes to bed, Mommy, I love you. And like it's like she would feel if I'm down or whatever, she would pick me up in her spirit. And she would either come and give me a hug. She would make breakfast for me, like all of those stuff, those things that she would do for me, and it just would awaken my spirit to know that, hey, you got to be strong for your kids, you know.
What was the how did he die? How did he die?
He had a heart attack, died suddenly.
At what age?
He was 36.
A heart attack. Wow.
Hmm.
So your kids give you great strength
Yeah,
and the courage to push you on. Let me read a
yeah.
few more comments right now. Okay. Powerful testimony. Catherine Bannaby second says, Lavette McFall says, God will find you and remind you of the Samaritan woman. That you will remind her of the Samaritan woman at the well. Um, Ingrid Cummings Johnson says, wow, this is so sad. I pray God strengthen you. Davina, your process turned into purpose. That's what Lavette McFall said. Natasha Burrows says, what happened to her father? Did her mother finally believe her that her husband was the father? So let's pause right there and tell her what happened.
Well, she actually, after all those years, I was already married and with kids or whatever, and this day, they had a fight at the house. They had a fight, and
When you say
I
they, your parents?
yes, they had a fight,
Okay.
and I went there and I just let it out. I'm like, I had enough. I say enough is enough. I say, what you can do, mommy? I see that nobody did to me. I see you have girls here living in this house. You aren't afraid that he would do the same thing to them. And so here he is telling me, I did nothing to you. I never touched you. I never did anything to you. And my sister said, yes, daddy, I saw you. And so from then, that was it. Then that's when the belief started.
That's what she
It
believed.
got me.
I'm trying to not move ahead and maneuver, but she brought us back to a place. So your mom finally believed you. She
Hmm.
subsequently left him and divorced him and all that.
Yeah, he did leave him
But did
eventually.
your father ever get charged with anything?
No,
It
no,
was
because
like
it was like
statute of limitations.
I was a lion. I told the police, like nobody really looked into it because they were so used, like yes, probably these girls running away and just saying things just to probably get out of the situation rather than investigate.
Hmm.
And so that's probably what happened. They didn't believe.
Yeah. So nobody believed, and your mom finally left him.
Yeah,
That's the good news. She was
yeah,
able
she
to
left
find the
him.
strength to walk away.
Yes, yes.
Strength to walk away. Okay, let's go to some more conversations. I mean, some more comments. Joanna Seymour rather says, you've been through a lot. May God continue to strengthen you. Mia LaFrance says, with strength and resilience. Ingrid Cummings rather, Johnson says, Jesus, take the wheel. My heart hurts for you and your children. So, no, her father never got arrested, and no, never got arrested. But her mom got away from him. And we might add that, let me ask the story. So, you're taking us back into that part of the story, but you again had a younger sister at the time. To your knowledge, did he ever molest your younger sister?
No, none of that. I had two younger sisters.
Two younger sisters.
Yeah,
To your
no,
knowledge, he never
never were.
molested any of them.
No.
Okay. Uh, okay. So, okay. Cortina Major says Bahamian women find it so hard to believe their children. Lorette Backfall says, as for your father, you have to leave him in the hands of the Lord. That's
Oh
exactly
yeah.
what it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly where he
Oh
is.
yes.
So your husband dies, and it's been over a year now.
Yeah.
Uh, and you've been able to navigate your way through with such amazing grace. that has been extended to you and to still care for your children. And you mentioned that earlier that when you were crying out to God, you heard the word save our daughters. And you subsequently started a nonprofit organization to do exactly that. Tell us about your organization.
So Save Our Daughters 242 is a nonprofit, registered nonprofit organization with the government. And it's geared towards encouraging and inspiring teen girls and young women to live out their full potential no matter what they are faced with in life. And so we do mentorship programs. Um, Last year, we had this gala ball, and it was called You Are Royalty. And what we did was we wanted to empower them and let them know that no matter what you are going through, that you are still royalty and that you are still loved and that God loves you no matter what, no matter what your background, no matter where you came from, that you are still royalty. And so it was like about 70 young girls that we empowered at this ball. We got their dresses, we got dress donations for them so they didn't have to pay for anything. Everything was free of charge for the girls. And so
Beautiful.
they got their dresses, they got their hair done, they got their makeup done, and everything free of charge, just to let them, feel a day of royalty, just to get away from the stress and all the things that they might be going through at home. We just wanted to just have them, be empowered and just, unwind and enjoy themselves for that night. This year we wanted to do it again. We wanted to make it a yearly experience for the girls in the inner city, but due to pandemic, we weren't able to do that. And so what we plan to do is give the girls care packs of the necessities that they would need for everyday, living. So that would still be an empowerment to them to take that away, the headache away from their family, their parents. Maybe they don't have it, and so we plan to give the girls that um, on our part. And so I'm working on a project called the Second Chance project, whereas instead of sending the girls to the girls' industrial school, that the girls will come through our program to be mentored before sending them there, before, the system or the country deems them uncontrollable. I was there, so I know, what it is to be called a runaway. You know, sometimes things happen in the home or, things happen. And so we wanted to be that pathway for these girls to come and be empowered
Yes.
and to help turn their life around before, change their mind of ever having to go to the girls' industrial school,
Hmm.
and so we're working on that project and that's going to come into play real soon. Come 2022, we're looking to open up our center for that purpose. So yeah, that's what our organization is about, basically.
You shared in the pre-interview, you shared a story with me that was so heartwarming about one night when one of the girls in your program called you because she was afraid. Share that with our audience tonight.
Yes. So one of the girls was being molested by her uncle, and she called me and she was like, "Miss Smith, I can't sleep. I am afraid to go sleep because my uncle is bothering me." And that I had to stay on the phone with her for until she was able to drop sleep. We was on the phone until must be 3 a.m. in the morning. I was just talking to her, trying to encourage her. She was really ready to end her life too, but she just had enough of it. And I'm telling her, trying to encourage her, don't baby, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up, until she was able to drop sleep. And that broke my heart. I'm like, we have to do more. We have to be more vigilant. We have to be brothers and sisters keeper, man. We have to look out for one another within the community that you are in. Because
Hmm.
you'll never know. You never know what these children are going through in the homes. And it starts right in the home. And, the majority of these rapes or these, it happens in the home. It happens somebody they know, somebody close to them are doing this to them. It ain't no stranger no. People used to say stranger danger. It
Hmm.
ain't stranger danger no more. It
Yeah.
ain't stranger danger.
Hmm.
It's happening right in the homes or close. Somebody close to them is doing this to them. And so
And
we have to
so
be very vigilant.
if you're out there and you can get connected with Davina, she's all over Facebook. If you want to help with her projects, upcoming, anything that she's doing, please reach out to her and let her know. Let me read some more of the comments. Need my glasses. Okay. Levesque McFall says, Go, Davina, let the devil see he can't stop the purpose of God in your life. Irma Bain says, God sent her husband to be an angel for her. That's why
Mhm.
his love was genuine, and it was to bring her to this place. His ways are not our ways. Some things we will not understand on this side. Paisley Forbes says, You are the diamond in the rough your husband saw. Isn't that beautiful? That's just amazing. Amazing. Um, so there's just so much more layers to the story, but I want to say thank you so much, Davina, for what you're doing
Thank
in the
you.
community, for using your life, using your trials and your struggles to be a blessing to countless number of young girls who are out there right now, perhaps living through what you've already been through. And that's why your testimony is so powerful, why it's so important. That's why the work that you do is worthy and needs to be supported and funded any way possible. So those of you who are in Nassau, please reach out to her. And when you see her name, when you hear about a project that she's hosting or an event that she's sponsoring, get involved, because you know that this is just not somebody who's looking for recognition or seeking
Mhm.
fame or anything, but this is somebody who has lived through a struggle. And before I go any further, I want to ask you, are you in a place where you've forgiven your mother and your father?
Oh yeah, I forgive them both. I don't have a relationship with him, but my mom, we have a relationship.
Hmm.
I still have a relationship with my mom. I forgive them both. I just let God have His way with their lives. I forgive them, and you have to forgive. You have to. I had to forgive in order for God to use me in the way that He does. I had to forgive and let everything go. I
Yeah.
had to forgive.
And if you think you've heard some incredible details, I want to bring your attention now to this part of the story. So you remember that her dad is her daughter's father. This is so powerful. Share with them the conversation that you had with your daughter when you explained to her what happened.
So this is when she was about 13. I decided to tell her, this. I'm sure she's wondering. Everybody has their dad. Like, where's my dad? You know? So I was like, I told her, I was like, baby, I need to talk to you about something. And so I told her, I say, well, I know you're wondering, who's your dad? And I told her, I say, well, you know, Nikki, them, my sister's dad is your dad. So she was like, did you talk about mommy? So I was like, yeah, that's it. That's your dad. So I said, my dad is your dad. Um, so she was like, what? So then she started crying. So I'm thinking that she's crying because of what I told her, that that's her dad. So she's like, mommy, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I'm
Wow.
looking like at her like, I supposed to be crying for you. You're crying for me because you're sorry that it's happened. It happened to me. And
Mhm.
so and I embraced her. I hugged her. I kissed her. I said, I love you. Even more. I said that doesn't stop. Who you can become. I said God loves you even more. I said mommy loves you so much. But it shocked me to see that she cried for me. Saying that she's sorry that it happened to me.
That is so empathetic
Yeah,
and so compassionate and all those
yeah.
wonderful things. Let me just read this final comment from Maxine Boleg. She says, Great testimony, Davina. May God continue to strengthen you and give you favor for all you are doing. Yeah,
Amen.
That is a wow event. Totally amazing how Davina possesses an amazing grace that not many people have. And we just need to put it out there. She has obviously been chosen to go through her experiences. I can't put it any other way. Chosen to do it because not many would have been able to stand and to
Mhm.
withstand and to maintain their composure and to keep their mind. Not many persons would have been able to endure what you have, Davina. And so, if
Mhm.
you're ever feeling down at any moment, know that God has given you an amazing grace that not many others bear. Not many others. Deborah
Mhm.
says, Deborah Anderson Pratt, thanks for sharing your story. Continue your great works in saving girls. Cortina Major says, you were built for this. And so I usually end the shows with something I call the lightning round, the lightning round. And this is where I it was an intense show.
Mhm.
We try to like lighten it up before we leave. So I asked some questions, a series of questions, and I just want one word answers, but I've switched it up a little bit. I usually focus in on Bahamian things, but tonight I've decided to switch it up a little bit. So this is our lightning round, and you only have to answer with one word. So I'm going to start with this one. Where's
Okay.
one place in the world that you want to visit that you've never visited before? Just one place.
Africa.
Africa. Awesome choice. Okay, what do most people notice first about you?
My smile.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think is your biggest strength?
My biggest strength.
Hmm.
Um, to be able to solve problems. I think I'm a good problem solver.
Okay.
Mhm.
And let me see what else. What is the thing or the things that annoy you the most? Your biggest pet peeves?
Snoring. I can't stand
Snoring.
to hear.
Okay. What
Yes,
else?
snoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Snoring. Okay. And how can if somebody wants to get on your good side, what do they need to do?
Join the organization. I want to join your organization. What is up? Tell me more about Save Our Daughters.
Okay, and I'll get them on your good side. Good idea, good idea. And this final question, this one I gotta ask. This going back to Bahamian things. Kumbe punch or Coke soda?
Coke soda.
You're a traitor. You're a traitor. Bahamian
I
thing.
love Gombe. I think I drank
How
Gombe
you
too.
people? Kumbe Coke soda over Kumbe punch? Okay, okay. Okay, you gotta do this one.
Yes.
Coconut tart or pineapple tart?
Coconut tart. Coconut tart.
Coconut. Oh, okay, okay. I
Yeah.
thought I was thinking like I really have to excommunicate you. Okay, her last name is Smith, right? What's your last name?
Yeah.
Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, her name is up there. So reach out to her on Facebook, social media, and she'll be able to give you some more. And Davina, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart
Me
for
too.
trusting me with your story. A complete stranger never known or heard about me or anything, but thank you for trusting me with your story. And thank you for uplifting all of
Yeah.
us who listened and been a part of this conversation tonight. We will
Yeah.
be following you. And it doesn't matter where you are, find her, reach out to her. If you hear that she's doing something, partner with her. She's going to need the support. We know that this whole problem of child molestation is not going away. We know that so many girls are confronted with it on a daily basis. And there's someone, and there are others, but she happens to be one who's in the forefront of this battle to save our girls. And there's so much that you all can do to assist, even if it's just to encourage, if it's to send her some financial aid, whatever you can do, it's going to be important because, as you can see, she is resilient, but everybody needs encouragement. Every
Yes.
leader needs a leader. I often say every coach needs a coach, every therapist needs a therapist. And so we all need each other to make it through. So, once again, Davina, such a wonderful delight for you to share with us. And we'll see you all again. Thank you guys for participating. Continue to share this broadcast tonight, because more people need to not only hear Davina's story, but they need to be able to connect with her. And so the more you share, the more people will be exposed to her work and to what she does. I see some more comments coming up. They're moving so fast. Oh, hey, Kenneth. He says, keep up the good work, Miranda. Hey, I'm on an assignment.
Mhm.
I tell people all the time, I'm on an assignment to share the stories of people who have overcome great challenges, and they are not afraid to show their scars and to speak their truth. So that's my assignment in this season. Labeth Mafal says, thank you, Davina, praying for you and the organizations. I will check you out.
Thank you.
Blessings. She says she'll check you out. And so thank you to all of you out there who have been tuning in tonight. Remember to continue to share. And I appreciate you so much. We're here every Sunday night, 8 o'clock live. And we're talking to so many amazing people that have the opportunity and the ability to bounce back out of the various challenges that they've been confronted with. Davina is one of them, and somebody wants you to give your contacts. So say your contacts for the person.
Okay, so my cell number is 449-8864. That's 449-8864. You can find me on Facebook, either Davina Smith page or our Save Our Daughters 242 page, or Davina Smith Speaks on Facebook, any of those platforms.
There
And
you
then
have it.
so my email address is for Save Our Daughters is Save Our Daughters 242 at gmail.com. You can
Save.
find me on email. 242?
Okay, I'm typing it in. Save Our Daughters 242 at Gmail.
Yes.
Okay. .com. All right. Save Our Daughters 242. There you have it, guys. And Cicely says she is an overcomer, and that she is. Blessings to you, Davina, and all of your work. I can't wait to meet you face to face. We got some stuff to do.
Yes.
Uh, and we're going to keep it going, and to make sure that her cause is advanced, because more people need to hear about it. More people need to get involved. And so I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight. I'll see you again next week. Each week we just share amazing stories. So you don't want to miss any of the weeks. I can tell you, you don't want to miss any, because each person, there are so many people out there with stories to tell. And I'm grateful to have this platform to present them to the world. And the one thing that I do know is that we understand more clearly why this world needs God. We understand so much why there are so many dysfunctional people in this world, because you really don't know their stories. You really don't know why people act the way they do. You
Yeah.
really don't know why they do the things they do or make the decisions that they do. And so this is a platform for people to share, to be able to be a blessing, to be an encouragement to somebody who may happen to tune in on the very night and hear some encouragement and hear the story of somebody who has gotten through what they may be going through. And so, thank you again, all of you, for joining us. Thank you, Davina. It's been a blessing. I'll see you guys next week at the same time, Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Swerve with me. I'm Miranda Innes. Have a good night.